And so we gather here today to bid farewell to our beloved flag carrier. Born in the midst of our nation's darkest hour of colonialism and racial oppression in 1934, salvaged, nursed to life and repurposed at the dawn of a new nation and beyond, South African Airways' demise was to catch up with her in the fateful year 2020. For 86 years she lived, growing into a divisive figure as part of apartheid South Africa's machinery of oppression and intransigence. There were dark moments too, accused of sanctions busting, and of course the Hilderberg tragedy. But there were also moments when she lifted our spirits to great heights. From Ellis Park to Union Buildings, we watched her grow into a formidable airline, punching above her weight. Oh, the pride of hearing her flight code announced through intercoms at some of the world's biggest air travel hubs, from Windhoek to Washington, Lagos to London, Harare to Hong Kong. She made her presence felt, but perhaps our pride blinded us to the reality that our SAA was unwell, and in fact, her health was deteriorating by the day. The cancers of ineptitude and corruption finally put her down to fly no more. Not in the incarnation we've known over the years anyway. So what went wrong? Well, a few things. Much has been made of the fact that government, as the sole shareholder, doesn't seem to have ever capitalized SAA properly after the airline was unbundled from the Transnet Group around 2006.
It had cash at the time, but it had no substantial equity that could strengthen the balance sheet. SA had no assets. Its aircraft was all leased. The buildings that SA owned at that time was minor, very small, so it didn't make an impact on revaluation of its assets and liabilities, that it would show that there were strong assets available for SA. So from an equity basis is that if the government owned the organization, they would put equity into it. And like with Transnet, the government has put in cash equity into Transnet. With SAA, there was no cash equity.
Add to that cocktail a government and governing party busy shooting itself on the foot by proclaiming culpable developmental state while engaging in wanton political meddling, making dodgy board appointments and spawning a relentless leadership revolving door at the airline and other state-owned entities. SAA stood no chance. Governance was soon in a steep nosedive, and instead of pulling up the yoke to keep it in the air, the shareholder state seemed to press it down forcefully to accelerate the airline's drop from the skies.
Minister Gigaba was appointed on the 1st of November to his position as minister, and in December, so within weeks of his appointment, other than our general exchanges where I had initiated to get the continuity, one thing that he asks us for a meeting for specifically is a meeting to discuss the Mumbai route. So within weeks of arrival, he makes this a priority.
And once the hijackers of the state from Saharanpur were in the cockpit, there was no breaking the fall. Between their influence on board appointments, shopping for a pliable Minister of Public Enterprises to do their bidding, and their biggest score, elbowing out SAA from the Johannesburg-Mumbai route, it was truly game over for South Africa's national carrier. Well, the heavy cargo of historical misgovernance and, frankly, daylight robbery of the airline in the early years of democratic South Africa only served to accelerate the fall and also gave convenient cover for those who were in the cockpit as it went down. Once in free fall, even small-time, unsophisticated thieves pounced.